Le digo, le suplico compañero, que no hable en mi presencia de las damas. Le dije que nosotros simplemente.
Hi, listeners. Thanks for joining. That is the continuation of the episode with Jay about dating, relationships, and marriages. But in the second part, we talking more about the use of a dating coach and the new trends that men get confused and don't know who they are and the role of a man. And also, we're talking about our own personal experience, what we experience out there meeting women and trying to date them and yeah, I hope you're gonna enjoy it and here we go. Thanks for listening again. Yeah, it's good that you found someone who helps you with that. I mean, I had a therapist because of my recovery when I had this heart attack, and I had also a life coach or whatever she calls herself now. And and then when I dated this woman like 2 years ago, no, 2 years ago now, I had her as on my side, but it didn't work out. I mean, and she went. The problem was she was a woman in a way. If she would be a man, then maybe that would be better. But yeah. So that I was actually in the end when I spent all this time with this coach, actually upset about it, right? Because I didn't felt the support. I mean, she did everything, but in the end, it didn't work out. And I mean, there's an example. What she said, "Oh, I told her I meet this woman now the first time in person, and then we was talking about what should I wear, right?" And then she said, "Oh, wear what you think, what you feel, right?" So I did this, but guess what? The first thing what this woman said that no, I don't like your attire, and the reason why she said this because we had the plan to go to the opera here in Madrid, right? So that
Uh-huh.
was the first. I mean, come on, in the first 5 seconds, this date was already done, right?
Yeah.
But at that time, we spent actually a quiet time together. So we went to the opera because we had the ticket. We went for a concert. We really spent 5 days here in Madrid. That was also the reason how I got introduced to Madrid because she showed it to me. So, but then it didn't work out because then yeah, that's her story because she was also not in a good place. So for herself, and she was
Yeah.
only looking for a hero, someone who rescued her, and that's. I mean, that I played in the past also this role. Maybe I
Yeah.
played that also for my ex-wife, and but it's wrong. I mean, it's totally wrong. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I'm really happy to hear that you're aware of these things because, it takes a lot of development and a strong understanding of, cognitive development to understand this concept because so many people get into relationships, they have no idea where they are and where their partner is, and they clash and they don't understand what's going on. So for me, in terms of maneuvering relationships and navigating the relationship world, understanding the spiritual development or cognitive development of people has been a game changer. Like, knowing where I am of my understanding of the world and human psychology, and then knowing what the other person, where the other person is, has been a very key moment for me. Because as you said, a lot of people might get into relationships because they feel they want to help this person or like save this person, like the savior and the rescuer. Some others will become like the therapist for the other person, and these are not really good reasons to start a relationship. You know, um, you want to find someone that you are attracted to, they are attracted to you, and then that you can both be authentic with each other. um, yeah, I think these are the things that I'm currently getting, and I feel so different. It's just like sometimes I don't believe it. Like, holy shit, is it actually possible for me to have a healthy relationship with someone? Because you talked about
Okay.
your parents. For me, I didn't have a really good model for a relationship. My parents had a very turbulent history, and they eventually split up. But they still can't even fully split up because they're afraid of like what people might say, and um, and yeah, it's like a whole thing with my dad as well, like refusing to move out and things like that. So yeah, it's been a very complex marriage for them, and I do believe it's been the main contributor to complicating my life. And this is exactly why, I decided to get help, because I have a fucking situation here, to the criticism of people around me. They'd be like, in our culture, it's so taboo to work with a dating coach, or like, oh, someone who teaches you how to approach women and how to talk to women. This is really taboo. And it's like, what the fuck is happening with this guy? Has he gone completely mad or crazy? Um,
Can you
so,
elaborate why or where that's actually coming from? Because I heard this also on the weekend when I had. Let me tell you a little story. So I'm now a English conversation buddy for an organization called Speak Social, and
mhm,
last week I had my first session, and all these people said they are Muslims, and now they started to talk about that everything is different if they live in Spain or in Germany or in Belgium, because there you're talking about relationship between a man and a woman, right? And because yes, because we are another, there's another society, and they said that's for them a culture shock. They didn't use
mm,
the word, but then they have their own opinion about it. And I know that actually the Catholic Church has the same opinion in a way, right? So I mean, so because I know that schools in Canada's school system is public and Catholic, French
mhm,
Catholic and non-French Catholic, and you have this kind of orientation, what is a man and a woman, not in the school, right? And if when the government tried to introduce, and there was a totally outcry, and it was not only from the people who believe in the Islam, it was also, of course, the people who believe in the Catholic Church, right? But
right.
I am Christian, but not Catholic. I'm
Yeah.
Protestant, so we are the rebels, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's interesting, because yeah, in Lebanon we have Christian sects which
I
are
know.
even more conservative than Muslims. So it's a symptom of being religious. And it's not. I don't think it has to do with one specific religion.
That's true. I want to make
Yeah.
that point. I want to make that
Yeah.
point. I mean, you can't put it all in that corner. You said, I mean, the Orthodox Jewism is similar. So they're all
Yeah.
actually kind of the same in a way, also in the role of a man in a marriage, if you think about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. But when I say in our culture, I mean, yeah, in our culture, it's about like, oh, like, um, what the hell? Like, I can get married in 5 minutes, Like the average male in our society thinks that, you know, um, it's an admittance of total failure and loss if they need help talking to women, or like how to approach women. Or it's like, if you say in front of someone like, I'm getting help from a dating coach, they're gonna think that like all you're thinking about is just sleeping with women, and you're obsessed about some woman who's done some voodoo magic for you, and you've gone
Really?
completely nuts. Yeah. So that's how it translates, it translates this way. So it doesn't really translate, because it doesn't register for some people that, yes, you can get help and this is good for your development, especially people who would not admit or who would not see any value in like psychology or therapy. People who don't see that, they will certainly not understand what is the meaning of getting help from a dating coach. So that's the kind of criticism that I had to deal with. And this is when I learned that, like, you can't share everything with your home environment, you know? Like, you got to be careful about what you share, because you, again, this comes down to development as well, because you cannot share something with someone that they are not able to understand or they're not ready to receive. Like, I've learned that I have to be careful not to share things with people that they are not ready to receive. Because if they're not at a stage of development that they're able to understand that concept, they will totally misunderstand it and they might actually kill you for it. And this has happened in history, you know, like when
Okay.
they used to burn the witches, or like
Yes, yes.
yeah,
I know
burn
what you mean.
people at the stake, or
Yes.
vindicate people, or lock them down. Anyone who came up with a new idea, they would like get locked up.
Yeah.
This is the
But
same.
but but it's not in the Middle Ages right now for sakes, right? I mean, I mean we have.
It's a modern version of doing that. So I yeah, right now, like, people will
Oh,
not kill for this, but that you will get vindicated. So you will be socially killed, you know, because you will be looked at as a social pariah, you know,
okay.
as someone who's weird and, you know,
I,
crazy.
I was my whole life weird, and maybe here my point is, and I feel this because I sense this every time I go. There's always attention on me. I can do whatever I want. I can not saying anything. I just sit alone by myself. If I go in a not alone, if I go to somewhere, I have always the attention. I see this,
Yeah.
and maybe it doesn't matter. So the most important thing for me is to find myself, and I call it self-love, because that's for me actually love right now, because nothing else counts for me anymore. Because when I found this, and then when I start to develop this, then I'm also a totally different person anymore. And I see the reaction, right? I'm able to talk with people, have no, well, just talk and have a good conversation. And that's what I did with that person a couple of weeks ago. I felt her, I know her for a long time. And that is this concept of soulmate, right? I don't know if you know this concept of soulmate, that you meet someone, you said, oh, that's a wonderful connection. And
Yeah, I'm a hopeless romantic as
yeah,
well.
me
Yeah.
too. That's the point, right? And that I felt with this woman, and then I wanted to give up. So forget her, right? But there was too many. We learning together Spanish, and 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 it was like, that women sometimes put a seed in you, right? And I have to say, I mean, I won't mention her name, but I felt attracted the first time I saw her, and then yeah, we spent some time together. I brought her to the bus station, and
Oh, that's nice. You should make
she,
her listen to this podcast. You should send it to her. She'll be like, "Oh my God, he's talking all this good stuff about me. Take me right now."
nice. That's also romantic. You don't know. I mean, she told me the story about her ex-boyfriend, and she's like a warrior queen. Yeah, I don't want to go into too much details, but I just described the scene. She went right to her bus. I went left to the metro. And I have to mention that because then I didn't want to hug her because I was afraid to do this kind of things. And then she hugged me because she said, "Oh, I want to give you a hug and I see you in my town next time."
Wow.
This is like a movie scene. It's like Humphrey
Yeah,
Bogart and what was the other woman?
that's really sweet. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I wouldn't say I look for a soulmate. You know, for me, like, my perspective on dating has changed so
Well,
much.
tell me.
You know, yeah, it's been evolving so much, man. Like, with every relationship that you get into, you learn so much from it and you
That's
walk
true.
away. I mean, if you choose to learn, I mean, some people just like choose to be in pain and suffering, but I'm always reflective. You know, every time something negative happens to me, I'm always looking for lessons. And mind you, this can be a trap sometimes because not everything is a fucking lesson. So sometimes, something might just happen and you don't understand it and you just have to accept it and move on. But with breakups, I've always been reflective and trying to get some value from it and learn. And my time in Madrid has been phenomenal. Like you've been talking about Madrid. I think
Yes,
Madrid is a great social city. It's
yes,
like
it is
social
definitely.
scene. Yeah,
And and that's
yeah,
also my problem. I don't want to leave anymore, but I have
yeah,
to because, first of all, if I want to go in that relationship, then I have to leave. And
yeah,
second, there was another thing what we had in common because I said to her, I want to actually be a digital nomad. I don't want to have be bounded to a place anymore. And for my upcoming work, it looks like it can be because they want to bring me all over the place. Um,
nice.
and she said, I want to have this too, but she has a job as a teacher in a public school or any school, so that's not how to you can't live as a digital nomad because you have to go to school. I mean, when they have school time, right? And then we started also this kind of idea. Yeah, I'm gonna help you to be an online teacher, and then we started this kind of plans.
Yeah.
And
Where is she based?
I won't mention this. I mentioned to you, not your public, okay?
Right. I mean, yeah, it sounds like she's based in another city and
Not in
like,
Spain. Oh, I mean, what the
yeah,
heck? I
yeah,
can tell you
yeah.
this.
No, I
No,
understand she's got her own life going on, but for me, like I expect, if I had a good relationship with a woman, I expect her to come to me. And this again takes us back to the old school mentality. But
yes. And she
from
did
my
that.
perspective,
She did that with her ex-boyfriend, and then she said she
uh
don't want to go there.
oh yeah, so she's got a bad experience in like sacrificing for someone. So
M-
that's like on her to deal with that kind of
Yeah,
trauma
but
or experience.
yeah, of course. And then another thing is what I found out that her sister died a couple weeks ago, and then yeah, so that was also something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, there are times where logistics really gets in the way, and this happened between me and this woman. And this is why I was really happy that I came to Lebanon because we were having a long distance thing for quite a while. But if it's gonna be like a serious relationship, I expect this woman to be by my side. And I see myself, the man should be the mountain that the woman comes to. I'm not gonna
Wow.
make sacrifices to be, yeah.
Mention that again. The man supposed to be the mountain the woman comes through.
Yeah, because the I read it somewhere or I hate it heard it somewhere like the man is the mountain for a woman the way he is the mountain for his daughter. Like when you have a daughter, it's like she might go and date and do whatever she wants in life, but then when she's hurt or when she needs you, she will come back to daddy. She'll always
Yes.
come back to daddy. She won't come to mommy. Daughters have a strong relationship with their father because of this aspect, because they see him as the mountain. And this is how it's supposed to be in relationships as well. For me, the woman who gets in a relationship with me, I'm going to be the mountain for her, whether providing financially, whether, emotionally, support, whatever you want to call it. That's how it's supposed to be. So, and this is when I started looking at it this way. I've had girls, fly out from different countries to come just to see me, just to spend a weekend with me, just to date me, just to be with me. I was like, holy shit, I would have never thought this would have been possible. But you just need to look at it this way, and then it starts to happen. Now sometimes it might not be available for someone. Someone might not be logistically available and they cannot do it, and it's fair enough. But
But but
yeah,
I like this. And you know why I like it? Because I I just learned not I first of all, I know all the theory of the dating coaches because I read a lot of this. And there's one, and I can mention some concept. They said you should choose someone who chooses you, number one,
yeah,
right? Some
yeah,
leadership for a woman is actually sexy. And there was a
Very
female
true.
date, a female dating coach who I listened to podcast to said this. And they all want to be small girls. And then they lead, as what you said, the daddy
Love it.
of a girl was the first man in her life, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this
that's
comes
true.
back, and this is also what my failed date 2 years ago said. You know what? This one Saturday, I was so happy because I didn't need to manage anything because you take care of everything. There you go.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
And
That's it. Yeah. So, I'm really glad that you agree on that. And there's something a lot of men really need to hear right now,
that's why
because,
we're doing this, Jay.
yeah, yeah, this is a very hard time for men in this day and age, because with the rise of social media, especially with dating apps, only 1% of men have monopoly on the top 20 or 80%, I think, of women, right? There's a huge number of in this like inequality in the dating world. The top 1% of men get all the dates, and then the rest of the men, they really struggle, and they sit there and wonder, is it my looks, or is it the money? I should focus on getting money and becoming
No, no,
famous, and then I'll get all the women, and they
that's
burn themselves out in the process, you
yeah,
know?
but it's the emancipation, how it's called, right? Emancipation of women, that men lost their self-worth. And that's what they said. Because if you listen
True.
to again another dating coach, a female dating coach, it's not the look, it's not the money, it's all about the connection and how you
Absolutely.
attract to them. And if I mean, that's what they
And
say.
yeah,
And and in
100%.
and
It's how
it's
you perceive yourself as well, like how you perceive yourself,
exactly.
how you perceive your value. Yeah,
And I had
yeah,
another podcast with this book author, and I can mention Justin Bank, and he said it also. He was successful. He made a PhD. He had a good job. He bought a house, and now he said he wants to have a woman in his life. And then what he did, he just went also to a dating coach. So, so now if you see him, then you said why he needed a dating coach. He was good looking. He had success in his
yeah,
career. So there was also something in him. And then, by the way,
yeah.
this relationship went also wrong. So, but it's interesting. So I think, and that should be the message of this podcast, that the man should look at self and say, I mean, first of all, it's self love. Everything starts with self. If you can't love yourself, how you can love someone else, right?
And how can someone else love you, if you
That's
if you don't
that's
appreciate
that's
and love
that's
yourself?
the equation, right? That's the
Yeah,
equation, right? I mean,
100%.
and then also you mentioned social media. Yeah, it's not helpful because you get all, but it's something we have to deal with it because it's not going away. I mean, it's also
Yeah,
not
I mean,
going.
it has transformed the world, but it has done a lot of harm to men, to the average man, and the way that they are able to acquire connection and relationship. And yeah, as you said, it's not going anywhere. So it's really on us to get up to speed and really upgrade ourselves so we can become, people who are able to compete in this new world. So yeah, and I think
So
that's a great takeaway for your next episode. Our next episode, we can talk more about that and how to
definitely, Jay, we
succeed in
started
dating.
serious. We started serious. We are to the
Yeah.
rescue, not for women, for men. How you like that? And by the way, it was so funny. A couple of months ago, I read an article in a German magazine that talked about the same thing, what you just said, that man doesn't know what to be a man, how to be a man, and they're all confused. And
Yeah.
yeah, and that's s- radiates the wrong signal because if you radiate that signal, then you have no chance. And it has again nothing to do with your money, how much money you make, how you look like, just the charisma. If you don't have this, if you are unsure about yourself, have not the kind of self-love, then you have no chance. And for me, it's also no competition because it's ridiculous, right? There's so many opportunities out there. It's just the matching point. That's how I see it, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely competitive, but it's also, an opportunity for a lot of men to grow and start, really working on themselves. And it's very obvious, like there's a rise in the number of dating coaches because this is a real problem.
It's a
Every
business. It's a
yeah,
business.
yeah, it's a business. It's an industry. Dating,
Yes.
dating coaching is now becoming an industry because
Yes.
every other day I get a dating coach add me on Facebook, and I'm like, dude, like, do I
I
look
don't need.
fucking lonely and desperate? Like, what? I don't know. What is it? What's the vibe that's they're getting from me? But yeah, but you could see a lot of dating coaches out there, and it's unfortunate, but it's only a signal that men really need to start working on themselves, to upgrade, to get their game up, basically, up their game when it comes
I
to.
wouldn't call it a game. It's more grow to a point that they can actually
Well, yeah,
rise to the
I use
challenge.
that like
Rise.
as the phrase, like you can
Yeah.
up your game in anything, like
Yeah, but
up your
I would.
game at work, or yeah,
It's rise to the challenge because it's getting even more complicated because there
very
women don't
true.
even know what they want. I mean,
One,
oh, one day they want to meet you, and then another day, then maybe they make 5 steps back because I don't know. And this is I read a book about someone I forgot the name, but that was one of the book what explained me everything about women plus my experience because it said, I mean they are like an ocean, and sometimes the ocean is calm, and then there is turbulences. And then I was always someone who connected on a deeper level because I was able to find a connection, and I was a good listener, and they like it if they have someone to talk. And again, this wrong of this date for 2 years told me also someone I don't need
yeah,
someone to 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 fix me, just listen to me. If she
one,
comes home and she has a bad time, and then just give her a hug and just listen to her and not try to fix the problem. Just be with
very
her.
true.
Be the
Yep,
mountain, be the rock.
it,
See, now I can
that's it.
combine what you said.
That's it. That's it.
I think
100.
JV started here something, right? I love it.
Yeah, I believe so as well. I love it.
And we're running out of time. I mean, I have time, but what about you?
Yeah, I've got to hop off because I have another call, but I'd love to continue the conversation some other time.
Yeah, of course. So let's find next week a time and we continue. And then, all right. So thank you so
I love
much. Um, Thank you, Jay, and thank you, listeners. And I hope there's a man outside, or maybe even woman likes what we said. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. No, there are women out there who still get it right, it's about, like, again, it's about where the person is on their development journey. So yeah, I really hope this connects with your listeners, and yeah, looking forward to continue the conversation.
Okay. So thank you all, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Le digo, le suplico compañero que no hable en mi presencia de las damas. Le dije que nosotros simplemente